your attention.
Does solving the climate change issue rely upon the resilience to adapt within the people or the environment? Climate change has been a prevalent issue since the 19th century. Climate change is the increased temperatures within our Earth, and this is typically caused by an excessive emission of gases into the atmosphere, and this can be due to human activities such as deforestation, which is the burning or cutting down of trees, or also excessive burning of fossil fuels. My claim is that because climate change has been caused by human activities such as this deforestation, excessive amount of cars being driven every day that are powered by gas, or also because of factories that are manufacturing goods every day, it is up to the people, not the environment, to adapt to this and change our daily lifestyles or promote other solutions. First, I'm going to go through evolution. The first article I used was The Urban Revolution: How Species Adapt to Survive in Cities. The author, Eric Bender, throughout this article, discusses how organisms or different species of plants and animals adapt to changes in their environment to cope with this. He specifically references acorn ants and how scientists in general will perform experiments on different species to see if they in the future would be able to tolerate climate change. With the acorn ants, these experiments were done by increasing the temperatures every 5 hours. As you can see, it is shown to show the difference between the urban populations in orange and the rural populations in turquoise. With this research, they're able to show that both species would have the possibility of being able to tolerate this climate change in the future. Studies show different forms of adaptation throughout history, one of them being phenotypic plasticity. This is when individual genotypes have the ability of producing different phenotypes to be able to adapt and evolve to their environmental changes. This can help coping with unpredictable conditions. However, this is not fully known whether it can fully lead to complete evolution, but it can still assist in survival. Another being variability selection. This is showing how organisms develop different behaviors or structural changes to be able to cope with environmental changes. This can be crucial to consider when thinking about climate change, as our ability to survive may rely upon our behavioral changes or structural changes. Looking into the past, Neanderthals, which is an extinct species of human, evolved in different ways because they experienced drastic shifts in weather. One of them was hunting patterns. When the areas they lived in drastically shifted to being cold weather, they would go south to southern areas to be able to hunt, and this means that they would be hunting different species, such as red deer. This was a difference compared to modern humans. Modern humans created different useful tools. They also created social networks which allowed them to exchange or transport goods across longer distances, and they also used symbols as a form of communication. As weather continued to drastically shift, the modern humans were able to survive by spreading across Europe and Asia, while the Neanderthals became extinct. Now I'm going to go through resilience. The article I used was The Migrant Mother. This picture was taken during the Great Depression of a mother and her children. Although to many this showed hopelessness within the country and people, it was also meant to show resilience for many to be able to take care of not only themselves, but also family members, meaning children or other friends. This photograph played a key role in urging the government to aid these areas by sending food or creating programs that allowed them to have more job opportunities for those who needed it. This relates to climate change as it shows the importance of spreading awareness, as long as those in power showing and promoting how we can solve climate change and how that affects the overall attitude of people in our society, such as motivating and urging them to create their own changes. Lastly, I'm going to go through the solution. According to NASA, there's a two-part approach to solving climate change, and this is mitigation and adaptation. Mitigation means it's reducing the amount of emissions of gas caused by human activities into the atmosphere. This is important because it's not meaning to reverse climate change, but stabilize it, so that us and other organisms still have the ability to naturally adapt to global warming. The second being is adaptation, and NASA described how this is not only important on a global level, but also a local level, and this is referring to that a lot of change can be made is if communities are able to come together, as long as having support from those in charge of their local governments to promote change. Mitigation and adaptation go hand in hand because if climate change continues to worsen, it'll become more and more difficult for us and other organisms to be able to adapt to these changes. It is necessary for us to limit the amount of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide being emitted into the atmosphere every day so that us humans, not the environment, are able to properly adapt with time.
Thank you. Did your research go in a different direction than you originally expected?
Well, my first research was actually about a different topic. I was first thinking I was going to do something about mental health, but I felt that I wasn't really clicking with the topic and it wasn't really helping me be motivated to continue that research. So then I remembered that there's other questions up around about climate change, so I kind of went deeper into that and not just only talking about the adaptation, but evolution and the resilience to that over time.
Okay, thank you. How was your conclusion in conversation with the body of literature or other research sources that you examined?
Could you repeat that?
Sure. How was your conclusion in conversation with what's known right now or other research sources that you examined?
So for me, when I was going through the research process, I really wanted to find more about environmental adaptation. Like in the past, has there been times where the environment was able to adapt to the changes from the human activities? And I wasn't really able to find that. So it was hard for me to fully rely on the solution of it being that we need to adapt, not the environment. But I just continued the research and was able to look at how it's human activities causing it, which I think many know, but just going deeper into that research to have that backing up my conclusion for it.
Okay, thank you. Another round of applause.